Hello all, I am the Holland Phantom, and for today's video we're going to be having a live battle from the 2011 format. On one side, we've got the Reshiram Typhlosion deck, as used by Christopher Can, the Senior Division World Champion of 2011, going up against the Truth, as used by Cawthon, the Masters Division runner-up of 2011. So we'll see which of these two decks can take the victory today. But before we begin, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and to my Twitter account, at Holland_Phantom, so you don't miss out on any new Pokemon TCG content. And now with it out of the way, let's get into the battle. And here we go, the battle has started, with both players flipping over their starting Pokemon. On the Reshiram side, we've got Cyndaquil as the active Pokemon, and on the Vileplume side, we've got Pichu as the active Pokemon with the Cleffa on the bench. The Vileplume side is going first, playing Sage's Training as their first supporter, looking at the top 5 cards of their deck, choosing 2 to keep, and discarding the other 3, followed by the item Pokemon Communication, swapping out a Solosis from the hand for a Reuniclus from the deck. Here we see the Pokemon coming into the player's hand. And there's the attack, Playground. It's a free attack that lets both players search their deck for as many basic Pokemon as they want to fill up their bench. So let's see what both players get. On the Vileplume side, we've got a Solosis coming down, an Oddish, a second Solosis, and a second Oddish. Okay, so we've got a full bench already. And now over to the Reshiram side. So far we've got 2 Reshiram, a Cyndaquil. There's another Cyndaquil. They've got 1 spot left open on their bench. And there's another Reshiram, so an even split. 3 Reshiram and 3 Cyndaquil. After the attack, Pichu does fall asleep. And there's a coin flip. Let's see if it wakes up. And yes, it does. Now turn passes over to the Reshiram side. Let's see what they can do. They start off by using their Pokemon Collector as their supporter, searching their deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon. Though I don't think they have 3 Pokemon left in their deck. This deck only runs 4 Reshiram and 4 Cyndaquil, so they only selected 1 Cyndaquil, meaning that the final Reshiram is probably in the prizes. Pokemon Communication swaps out the Cyndaquil from the hand for Typhlosion from the deck. That's going to be the main energy accelerator of the deck once it evolves. The player just needs a rare candy to start evolving on the following turn. An energy was equipped to Cyndaquil and immediately discarded to pay the retreat cost to promote Reshiram. And there's the turn. Back over to the Vileplume side. The player activates another Sage's Training, once again looking at the top 5 cards of their deck, choosing 2 and discarding the other 3. Okay, there's the 3 cards being discarded. Let's see what they got. One of the Solosis evolves into Typhlosion. There's a rare candy. And the second Solosis evolves into Reuniclus. Reuniclus has an ability called Damage Swap to move damage counters around on its side of the field. Pichu retreats to promote Cleffa, and there's the attack, Eek. Another free attack to shuffle away the player's hand to draw 6 cards. And now Cleffa will be falling asleep. There's a coin flip, and that is tails that time. Cleffa does not wake up, meaning that it will be protected by its ability, Sweet Sleeping Face. As long as it remains asleep, it cannot take damage from attacks. On the Reshiram side, a rare candy was played to evolve one of the Cyndaquil into Typhlosion, which then activates its Poke Power Afterburner to get back a discarded fire energy to attach to Reshiram. And now Reshiram takes 10 damage from that ability. Professor Juniper is activated, discarding the player's hand to draw 7 brand new cards. So let's see if we have any more evolutions coming down. Now also earlier in the turn, a fire energy was equipped manually onto the active Reshiram, so it's now got 2 energy. A second Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava, and there's the turn. Cleffa still does not wake up between turns. And over to the Vileplume side, Typhlosion evolves into a second Reuniclus, no other cards are played. And there's the turn again. And Cleffa finally wakes up. Reshiram gets a 3rd fire energy to start using its blue flare attack, and the player activates another Professor Juniper, once again discarding their entire hand to draw another 7 cards. So let's see if they get any more evolutions. There we see Junk Arm, discarding a Pokemon Collector and a Fire Energy from the hand to get back any discarded trainer card. And the one chosen is going to be Rare Candy to evolve Cyndaquil into a second Typhlosion. And there's the attack. It's going to be Outrage, hitting for exactly 30 damage to take the first KO. Now Reshiram has taken the early lead. On the Vileplume side, Pichu comes up as a new active Pokemon. It does have a free retreat cost to act as a good pivot. And now Pokemon Communication swaps out an Entei Suicune piece for a Gloom from the deck. So we're going to be seeing one of these Oddish evolve this turn. Okay, there's Gloom coming down. And now the player activates her supporter, Twins. It can only be activated if they're behind in prizes, and they can search their deck for any 2 cards that they want. There's the 2 cards being chosen. They do not have to reveal what they are to the opponent. So let's see what they got. Okay, Pichu is going to be retreating to promote Oddish. And that's going to be it. No other cards are played. So they're expecting this Oddish to be knocked out. A third Typhlosion evolves, and 2 of them activate Afterburner to get back 2 discarded fire energies. One of them comes up to the active Reshiram, and one of them comes down to one of the benched Reshiram. Both of them take 10 damage for the ability. And there's the attack, another Outrage, hitting for 40 damage this time, and taking a second prize. And there's still no attackers on the Vileplume side. Let's see what they can do. But Vileplume finally comes down, activating its Pokebody, Allergy Flower, meaning that no player can activate trainer cards for the remainder of the game. Another Twins is activated, searching the deck for another 2 cards to add to their hand. And let's see what they get. And it's going to be both the Legend pieces, Suicune and Entei Legend. This Pokemon can only be played if both cards are in hand at the same time. The player equips a Rainbow Energy to Suicune Entei. It does take 10 damage from the Rainbow Energy, and it gets moved away by the Damage Swap ability onto Pichu. And now Pichu attacks with Playground, searching their deck for another Pokemon to put on their bench. Just making some room there. And then we see the final Pokemon is going to be a Chansey this time. Once again filling their bench, and now Pichu does fall asleep between turns. There's a coin flip, and that is Tails, so Pichu does not wake up, so once again it's going to be protected by Sweet Sleeping Face, just like Cleffa was. No cards are played on the Reshiram side, and that's the turn. Between turns, Pichu does wake up now. And let's see what the Vileplume side can do. They have a double colorless energy. And now Suicune and Entei can attack. Since they are 2 Pokemon technically, they have 2 types. They are water and fire, meaning that Reshiram will be hit for weakness this turn. There we have another Twin, searching their deck for another 2 cards. Okay, there's both cards being chosen. And there's the attack. It's going to be Burning Inferno, hitting for 80 damage, but like I said earlier, it is going to be hitting for weakness as it is part water type. It's going to be a 1-hit KO, and Vileplume takes their first prize. A second Reshiram comes into the active spot. And there's another one coming down into the bench, so they must have gotten off the prizes. Or they might have had it in their hand. Okay, another Professor Juniper is played. Drawing another 7 cards from the deck. And then we have a second Fire Energy coming down to the active Reshiram. And all 3 Typhlosion activate their Afterburners, accelerating 3 Fire Energy from the discard pile. So there we see 1 coming into the active Reshiram. It takes 10 damage. And 2 of them coming down to one of the bench Reshiram. It takes 20 damage. And there's the attack. It's going to be Blue Flare that time, discarding 2 Fire Energies and hitting for 120 damage. It's a lot of damage, but not quite enough to take the KO. As Suicune and Entei have 160 HP. Okay, now turn passes over to the Vileplume side. Reuniclus activates Damage Swap, moving all the damage that Suicune and Entei took onto Chansey and Vileplume. So Suicune and Entei are now fully refreshed. There we see Sage's Training. Once again, looking at the top 5 cards, keeping 2 and discarding 3. There's the attack, another Burning Inferno, taking another 1-hit KO against Reshiram, and that is 2 prizes taken, and now both sides are tied. Third Reshiram comes into the active spot now. It's almost ready to attack, it just needs 1 more energy. The player activates Professor Oak's new theory to shuffle away their hand to draw 6 brand new cards. Okay, there's the cards being drawn. Let's see what they get. Like I said earlier, they can't play any trainer cards. They can only play supporters. A Rescue Energy was equipped to the active Reshiram, and all 3 Typhlosion activate their abilities once again, attaching 2 Fire Energy onto one of the Reshiram and 1 onto one of the Typhlosion. Okay. So they might be switching their strategy to attacking with Typhlosion later on. There's the attack again. Blue Flare, hitting for another 120 damage. But Suicune and Entei are still not KO'd. Once again, Reuniclus activates Damage Swap, moving all the damage away, spreading it between itself and the second Reuniclus. Alright. The Vileplume side does have to be careful there because they're taking too much damage. Okay, then we see Damage Swap once again. Oh, and actually they're going to be moving damage onto Pichu to knock it out. So Reshiram takes another prize. Oh, but they did that to activate their twins. As like I said, twins can only be activated if they're behind in prizes. So they purposely knocked out one of their own Pokemon to activate their final twins card to search their deck for 2 more cards. Phanpy comes down onto the field, and Chansey evolves into Blissey, activating its Pokepower Blissful Nurse, which fully heals all damage on its side, and also discards all energy from Pokemon that were healed. But since none of those Pokemon had any energy, nothing was discarded. So that was over 200 points of damage, all wiped away. A Fighting Energy came down to Phanpy, and there was the attack, Burning Inferno, taking a 3rd KO. Once again, both sides are tied, this time 3 prizes remaining apiece. The final Reshiram comes into the active spot. Oh, but the one that was KO'd last turn comes back down into the bench as it was rescued by the Rescue Energy. It came back into the hand. All 3 Typhlosion activate their Afterburners. Here we see a Fire Energy coming down to one of the Typhlosion. And the other 2 coming down to the second Typhlosion. Okay, so they are switching up their strategy. A 3rd Energy comes down to one of the Typhlosion, so it's fully powered up. The active Reshiram is going to be retreating, and there we see Typhlosion coming in. Typhlosion's attack forces the opponent to discard their energy card, so it looks like their strategy is going to be to strip as much energy away as they can from the Suicune and Entei so they can't attack anymore. Okay, there's the attack Flare Destroy, hitting for 70 damage and discarding the double colorless energy off of Suicune and Entei. So let's see if they can attack on the following turn. And yes, they can. They had another double colorless energy in their hand. Damage Swap moves all the damage away from Suicune and Entei onto Blissey this time. And now the player activates Seeker. Both players have to pick up one of their bench Pokemon to put back into their hand. So Blissey and Reshiram are picked up. So all the damage is wiped away once again. Chansey comes back down to the bench. Phanpy evolves into Donphan, and there's the attack. Burning Inferno, taking the 1 KO against Typhlosion, and that is 4 prizes taken by Suicune and Entei. A second Typhlosion comes into the active spot now. Just needs 1 more energy to start attacking. Both of them activate their Afterburners. 1 energy comes down onto the active one, and 1 onto the benched one. So they're continuing the strategy of discarding energy cards from their opponent. The manual attachment comes down to the bench Typhlosion, and there's the attack. Another Flare Destroy, once again discarding the double colorless energy and hitting for 70 damage. So that's 2 double colorless energy cards discarded so far. Oh, but they had the 3rd one in their hand. They must have searched it out with their twins, or they probably just drew into them. They've been drawing a lot of cards this game. The damage is moved away from Reuniclus onto Chansey, which evolves back into Blissey, healing all the damage with its Blissful Nurse ability again. And there's another attack. Burning Inferno taking 5 prizes so far. The Suicune and Entei has been sweeping the game so far. The final Typhlosion comes into the active spot. He gets an energy to attack. And discards the 3rd double colorless energy. So if the player does not have their 4th double colorless energy in hand, Suicune and Entei will not be able to attack. So let's see what happens. Damage swap moves all the damage away from Suicune and Entei. But do they have the energy? And yes, they do! They have the 4th energy to attack! Burning Inferno to take the final KO and the final prize. And there's the handshake! Vileplume is your winner! So what did you guys think of that battle? Let me know down in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow and reach new viewers. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, this is the Holland Phantom logging out.